Hey, Feisty Kittens, good morning. I wanted to say, hey, good morning. This is my quick post. I'm trying to get ready for the day, trying to get my little ballot and get it in. And so I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. I know everyone's like all going crazy over this election and everything and trying to decide, are they going to be responsible for destroying democracy if they vote for the wrong person? And so I'd like to say it's not that serious, but this time it is that serious. So I know that we're all excited about the national election, but there was a thing that I was talking about, and I had a conversation last night. I actually got a phone call, and I just wanted to share that with you because I realized that not all of my listeners are as aware. I am. I love like the political process. I come from a family where we've always discussed the issues. We've always debated. I've been voting since I was 18 years old, and so I'm pretty well versed in it. I like it. A lot of times people don't like all the fighting and everything, but I know that the national election is really big. But when it comes to things like, do you want to say in how your schools are running? Are you happy with the way that your schools are being ran? Are you happy with your city's infrastructure? Could maybe your city use a new center, or maybe you guys need tax money that either can help build something in your town, maybe you need for schools or for roads or for infrastructure. And those are the things that I think a lot of times people forget. And we just, when it's the primaries or every 2 years, what is really important to your day to day quality of life? Yes, choosing a president is very important, choosing a leader is very important, but deciding on the quality of your day to day life is one of the most monumental and important decisions that you'll make. And you do it on a daily basis, and you do it locally and through your state. And those are the people when you go and you're filling out your ballot. If you already mailed it in, that's awesome. But if you still are at the process where you're trying to fill out your ballot or you want to walk it in, hopefully you've mailed it already. But if you're still looking, make sure that you go past not just the federal level, because that's our national elections. For people who aren't quite sure, like how that works, we have a national election, and the Electoral College is actually what chooses the president. So the states have representatives that cast votes that pick the president. So a lot of times when you hear people say like, "Oh, my vote doesn't matter," that's what they're talking about when they're saying that their vote doesn't count. But where your vote does count and where your voice really, really does matter is in those state and local elections. And those are the things that you'll see like on your ballot, or it might be a proposition for this, or it might be let me see if there's some of the other ones that we have on here. One of the things that I'm really important about, especially just being focused on what locally, what your city or your town needs, or what your state needs, what will help grow. Because when we do a national law or something like that, it's not always necessarily ideal for each individual city or community. There's different things that cause us to thrive. So it's difficult for the federal government to decide what's best for everybody when everybody lives different. But you can decide in your state, in your local counties, you can choose like who actually you think will help improve the quality of your daily life. And I had someone last night send me a text message wanting to basically they're still canvassing and still trying to get people for both sides. And this person wanted to know if I was going to vote like a whole party ticket. And so I literally responded back. Usually I don't respond back to these political texts, but I did respond back, and I expressed some of my concerns. I have felt disenfranchised, I felt marginalized, and I felt unheard by both parties for close to 8 years now. So when I go in to vote, I'm paying attention to the things that I have seen change locally. I'm from Denver, Colorado, and we have seen incredible change over the past like 5 years, let alone the past 20 years. And so not all of those things have made me happy. Not all of those things have been great for the quality of living in Colorado. So when I go in, I'm looking at um, not just the governors and the mayors, but I'm looking at who are the people that are on city council, who are the people that we're putting on the school boards. Because I have grandkids that are in school. It's like who are the people that are going to be responsible? Like we're looking at a lot of reforms, like with our police. Now we have seen our city council step up, but to really to have a voice in the process, it requires you voting locally. It requires you paying attention if you don't like the way the laws are going in your city. I know we made the national news a couple of weeks ago in Aurora, Colorado, because we had just some very bad and not well thought out police behavior. And it's like, and we had a DA that literally was willing to hold them accountable and hold them to task and say that nobody was above the law. So those are the things that I pay attention to. When I go in and I look at my ballot and I'm looking at DAs, when I'm looking at the judges, that are ruling in certain ways that are changing the structure of our city. When I look at the way the developers have come in and changed Colorado, that have driven up the cost of living, those are the things that I'm paying attention to when I go into the ballot. The figurehead at the top, the leadership ideally should trickle down. But but once it trickles down, it splashes, and that's your local community is where you're going to be swimming in. So make sure that the local politicians, the local propositions, make sure that those are contributing to your quality of life. Here in Colorado, we have Proposition, I believe it's like Proposition B. It's something to working with the homeless. We've been all over the national news this year talking about our homeless crisis, which has been terribly compounded by this corona virus and the lockdowns. Even looking at the way that situation has been handled. Now, there has been a lot of displeasure in the way it's been handled at the top. But looking at your individual localities, I'm very, very proud of the way our governor, the way our mayor here in Denver have really handled this crisis, have been like on point, have been a couple of steps ahead in trying to figure out what's best. So pay attention to how your local politicians do stuff. When people get mad about what they don't like in their city, it's not the presidents that's doing that. Pay attention to who your local, who your governors, who your senators, who your congressmen are. You don't like the way the laws are being done in the Senate? Pay attention to who your local senators are and make sure that they are speaking in Congress and in the Senate with your voice, your constituent. And we always forget that in this country, we, the people, it's like the government works for us, but it can only work well and they can only do their job when we are speaking with our voice about what we actually need. And in the conversation that I had last night, and I think that that's one of the things, I think that this campaign could use an incredibly healthy dose of customer service skills, just the very, very basics, especially if you're going to be a leader. But when I had this campaign person call me back yesterday, when I sent that text out, it was to express my frustration with the fact that I didn't feel like I had been heard, that I did not feel like that when they spoke about issues, that they were speaking in a way that spoke to me and that spoke for me in actually changing things. And when this person called me back, the person immediately, and I said, and I left the invitation in the text, if you have someone that would be willing to speak with me, who'd be willing to answer the questions that I have about what your candidate can do for me, then I am always open and available to speak. And this person called me back. It was not the person who actually originally sent the text, but it was someone from that office who called me back. And it would have been an incredible opportunity for a dialogue. That's what I do. I talk to people. But this person literally called me back and basically just wanted to know if I was going to vote all party ticket. And so I think that one of the things he didn't actually understand about me, the constituent, the voter, is that I don't just all party anything. Like I don't toe anybody else's preconceived narrative. I focus on what is going to actually benefit me. And I think that a lot of times that's what most people do. And so when it comes to issues that affect me, I'm not looking at party line. I'm looking at who can actually get the job done. And I don't think that this person understood that. And it could be why they feel that their candidate is falling behind or is not getting the ground that they should because they're not hearing what people are saying that they need. It's like we've got a few little issues out there that everyone's stressing out about, but that's not what affects our day to day lives and our day to day living. And it's like, and so those are the things that I was concerned about. I live in Colorado where the cost of living is ridiculous right now. It's like where a one bedroom apartment is going for like $1,500 a month. It's like, but our cost of living is skyrocketing and our wages are not leveling out. Those are the things that I want to talk about. I don't care about, well, and I won't say I don't care, but I'm not of childbearing age. So there are certain issues like a woman's right to choose, a woman's right to do what she does with her body. That's not even up for discussion for me. It's nobody else's business how I make a personal decision about my body. So that's not even an issue that's on the table. It's like, but the issues that are on the table are how is the cost of living going to change in Colorado over the next year? We have an incredibly large homeless population, and we have a proposition that's on the ballot that's not designed to actually get those people off the streets and into homes. It's designed to get more money for nonprofits to build more warehouse boxes that we can stuff people in. They want to, instead of putting homeless people or people who are marginalized people because in Colorado people work every single day and still can't afford to pay rent, and it's like so we want to know like how is that going to change because you have a proposition that wants to give nonprofits, a lot of whom do not recognize the separation between church and state, but you want to give these nonprofits lots and lots of money so that they can build these little boxes to keep people in. And what we're seeing in Colorado, we're seeing these nonprofit church connected um, nonprofits that are pushing in. They want to build like these dormitories to house the homeless people in, and they want to have them work like for the city and for other nonprofits for like 9, 10, $11 an hour, which guarantees that they cannot afford an apartment. Right now, they're saying the average going rate for a one bedroom apartment, you would need to make about $16 to $18 an hour to be able to comfortably afford a one bedroom apartment. That's not happening in Denver. So I can't see. And for those who know and who've listened to the show, last year I was very marginalized. I was working full time, working every day, could not get an apartment. Like I was couch surfing. I was going to like really terrible neighborhoods where they had really long waiting lists. And so, like, I was able to see firsthand some of these nonprofits, some of these shelters, some of these day shelters that supposedly like help people, and it like a lot of this money that was going towards staff and staff salaries. There was this very removed interaction between staff and the people who actually needed these services. This kind of like, see how great I am because I'm listening and I'm giving my time to you poor people. Like there was a complete disconnect that most people in this country are about two paychecks away from being homeless their damn selves, no matter what kind of job they have. But it was a complete disconnect. And I guarantee if I go back right now, I will see a great majority of the people that were there last year when I was there trying to get bus tickets or use the internet, those same people, because the system is literally designed to keep them homeless. That's what they're getting the money for. They're getting money so that they can keep these people homeless and warehoused and working for almost free. And it's like that. What's the difference between that and jail? You get three hots in a cot. You're living in some kind of dormitory. You get up every day, whether you're sick or don't feel good or whatever. You're thrown out into the street, and it's like, and you got to stay gone and look busy until it's time to come back. And it's like, so those type of things they sound good, and but if you're only focused on who's going to be the next president, then you're not really understanding how the rest of those little boxes on the ballot actually affect your day-to-day life. Pay attention when they're talking about if you every time you go past that road and you everyone in town knows that light's out and the potholes are terrible. Well, then that's who you need to be paying attention to. Pay attention to your city council. Pay attention to your aldermen. Pay attention to your who's the DA is. Pay attention to who the judge is. You keep seeing stuff on the news and you see it here in Colorado last week, we had our courts give a man 400 years in prison because he was pimping and pandering. I guess some Kylie Jenners who want to be the next bag chasers. But the court said you do not have the right to own or control these women's bodies. You don't have the right to do it and to prove that to you. We're going to punish you. They basically sent the black man back to slavery. They gave him 400 years. And then like literally, that same system turned around in the same week and said, we need to nominate a woman to the Supreme Court because, yeah, we don't believe that black man has the right to own women's bodies. But this government, yes, we should and we will own women's bodies. And they put a woman in the Supreme Court who will outlive everybody else on that court and will be deciding what happens to you, your bodies, your daughter's bodies for a long time to come. And when I'm talking about bodies, I'm not just talking about whether you have a child. I'm talking about literally where there's already a shift in the way that things are going, the way we're seeding in people's minds about what is a pious and ideal life. So that's not taking into account anybody else's beliefs or feelings or anything. We've got a small group of people who are deciding for everybody how they should think and how they should live. And when I spoke to this man yesterday who wanted me to vote all party down the line, this man, I invited him to give me a call back if he wanted to actually answer my question. And what this person did was he called me and he basically told me why I should vote this way and why I should vote down the party, was not interested in any of my questions, didn't really want to hear about any of my experiences as a woman and what any hesitation I would have about this ticket. And then to put the icing on the cake, the man turned around and mansplained to me what the League of Women Voters was for about 10 minutes. I guess maybe not realizing that I'm a woman. And I think that especially in a time like this, and coming from a political family and a family who's been very well versed and very deeply interested in politics like my whole entire life, it's like, of course I know what the League of Women Voters is. But to have a man sit down and explain to me that that's where I can find out more information about the voting issues, it was condescending and it was a bit facetious. And so if you have an entire party that thinks that they know what you're about, that thinks that they know what you want, then they're going to vote and they're going to speak with your voice and they might not be casting in a way that you want it to go. So make sure your power in this, and it doesn't matter, like I said, I'm not going to say it doesn't matter who the president is, but your power lies in what improves and increases the quality of your daily life. It's like, so just keep that in mind when you're going into the voting booth or if you've already come out. Another thing that I really want to caution that that stood out to me last night when I was speaking to this gentleman, do not, and I've heard this over and over, I witnessed this for myself during the last election. Please do not let anybody carry your ballot in for you. Because really, I think that what a lot of people don't realize, I know we don't have civics classes anymore, but what a lot of people don't realize is that you shouldn't even really be telling people who you're going to vote for. Your vote is one of the most private and privileged things that you have. It is your right as an American citizen, and it's like this is the one thing. It's nobody's business who you vote for. and you can support whatever party you need to, but the whole point of the voting booths, and when I was younger, they actually had the curtain around it, is because your vote is private and it's personal. So you don't ever have to discuss it with anybody, but just be clear when you go into that booth on what is important to you. And then, like I said, don't let people carry your ballots in for you. We had people come knocking on our door the last election who wanted to collect everyone's ballots and take them in for them. Don't allow anybody to touch your ballots. Take your ballot in for walk it in if you can and vote on the 3rd. If you cannot do that, then take it to a secure lockbox. If you can, take it to a secure lockbox at a polling station. But make sure that your voice is heard this year. And if you're out there stumping for one of the candidates, stop mansplaining women. They probably know a whole lot more than you do about women's issues. So don't mansplain women and think that that's going to get them on your side. But this is just a quick good morning, hello, morning message. And I just wanted to remind you once again that Courtney from Straight from the Hip with Courtney Jones, and you are awesome. So go be it. Peace.